to Capitol Hill. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy issued a veiled threat, wasn't that veiled actually, to phone and social media companies that provide any information to the committee that's investigating the January 6th Capitol riot. McCarthy tweeted, quote, "If these companies comply with the Democrat order to turn over private information, they are in violation of federal law and subject to losing their ability to operate in the United States. If companies still choose to violate federal law, a Republican majority will not forget and will stand with Americans to hold them fully accountable under the law." CNN's Ryan Nobles is on Capitol Hill. Ryan, what is the committee's response to this?
Well, the committee's not backing down, Allison, and of course McCarthy's threat comes in the wake of CNN's exclusive reporting on the fact that the committee is asking for the phone records of a number of members of Republican members of Congress to be preserved if the event that their investigation gets to that point, that they want to see exactly who these members were talking to in the lead up to the January 6th insurrection. And the committee said in a statement shortly after Kevin McCarthy sent out that threat via tweet that they're not going to be deterred by any efforts, as they say, to whitewash the events of January 6th, and that they're going to continue to move forward and ask for this information and work with social media and tech companies to get whatever they need to complete this investigation. But the question is, does something like this just interrupt the flow of information over the course of the investigation? Does it slow the process down? It's already expected that there could be a lengthy legal battle to obtain this information, that some of the individuals who could be, whose records could be asked for, could say that this was a violation of their personal rights and abilities, and they may try and step in the way of this. So this could be a long process to begin with, Allison. And if you have the House Minority Leader putting out a threat, which is basically what he did last night, is telling these companies that if they comply with a duly impaneled congressional committee, that could make them nervous to be involved in this process. Now, the tech companies, the social media companies, they haven't responded to McCarthy's claims. The question, though, is will Democrats on Capitol Hill take the next step of accusing Kevin McCarthy of obstructing this process? One Democratic member of Congress, Eric Swalwell, has said that this is something the Department of Justice should look into. The DOJ not commenting on that right now. But could Democratic members ask the House Ethics Committee to look into this and offer up some sort of reprimand of Kevin McCarthy's conduct in all of this? We should also point out, Allison, that Kevin McCarthy said, kind of obtusely, that there is some sort of federal law that these companies could be in violation of, but he has yet to say what exactly that statute is. Just kind of threw it out there as if it were something that could be very bad, that he even went as far as saying could force these companies to cease their operations in the United States if Republicans come to power. But again, Allison, he won't even say what that law is.
Okay, well, Ryan Nobles, luckily we have an expert who's going to tell us all about this. Thank you very much. Joining us now, CNN senior legal analyst and former state and federal prosecutor Ellie Honig. Okay, Ellie, so what federal law prevents phone records from being subpoenaed?
Yeah, spoiler, none. I mean, he's making this up. In fact,
there's no federal law.
No. So here's the way it works. It's really quite the opposite. It is the most normal thing on the planet for these phone companies, these providers, Verizon, AT&T. They get subpoenas all day long. They have entire divisions of their companies. All they do is turn around these subpoenas for phone records all day long, unless a judge steps in and says that's an inappropriate subpoena, which is very rare. Then that's their job. Their law says they have to comply. Now, there's nothing extraordinary here. McCarthy is just basically talking smack, trying to throw a monkey wrench into this procedure.
Do we know what the committee is looking for in these phone records, and why would Kevin McCarthy be trying to block justice or trying to block potential criminals from being prosecuted?
Yeah, that's the question, right? These phone records are going to be really valuable information for the committee because they're going to give a roadmap to this investigation. They're going to show you, me, investigators, who exactly spoke with who at exactly what minute of what day. And that is where you start an investigation as a prosecutor, as an investigator, because once you know who had what conversations with who at the critical times, then you go talk to those people. Maybe you subpoena them. Maybe it's Kevin McCarthy. Maybe it's Jim Jordan. Maybe it's Mark Meadows, on down the line. And that results in subpoenas. And that's going to get potentially really ugly for Kevin McCarthy and others around him.
But just so I understand, the committee thinks that some lawmakers spoke to some of the Capitol rioters?
So there's two possibilities here. That could be, they could be looking for any evidence of that, and you would see that in those phone records. The other possibility, and I think this is clear, they want to know who was in contact with the White House, when, how many times, and then for each of those contacts, you would naturally ask the person, okay, you called the White House, let's make it up, 3 times on January 5th and twice on January 6th. Who did you speak with? What did you speak about? And I think that's what's got Kevin McCarthy worried.
I mean, we do need to know why the president's response and the White House response was so belated and so delayed when it became a deadly riot.
I mean, what could be more right down the middle of this investigation? It is one of the core questions here. There's nothing political about it. Let's get the truth. And remember, Jim Jordan, for one, has said, I've got nothing to hide. All right, let's see if they're good for that. If they have nothing to hide, they should be behind this effort to get the real facts.
So Kevin McCarthy put this statement out on Twitter. Are there any possible legal ramifications for him? Is he obstructing justice?
Yeah, so what it means to obstruct justice, or in this case, obstruct a congressional proceeding, is to make an inappropriate threat, an improper threat. I think we probably agree it's not much of a veiled threat, right? He says, we'll
That was
shut
a direct threat.
Right? He says, when we take over, assuming the Republicans will take over, we may shut you down, Verizon, phone companies. That sounds to me like a threat, and if the intent is to get in the way of an investigation, it could be obstruction. Now, I'm sure McCarthy would say, well, I'm just saying I'm going to go to court and exercise my legal rights. But there is no law. As we discussed at the beginning, you can't just make something up and say, I'm going to use that as a threat and then go to court. So, look, DOJ should take a look at this. I don't have any faith they will.
Why?
Merrick Garland has shown no appetite for anything that might be politically controversial, politically explosive. And I don't believe he will jump into this wholeheartedly. Also, as Ryan said, the Ethics Committee on the House could take a look at it, but that's just sort of tisk-tisk reprimand.
Hi, Hunter. Great to see you.
Thanks, Allison.
Thanks so much.